John.
Shane.
Chad.
These sci-fi guys.
Welcome to the Sci-Fi Guys. I am Dave, and with me is Shane.
What's up?
Chad.
Told you we would be back.
And John.
Hello, everyone.
And if you didn't tell by the intro, we are doing Judgment Day by Terminator 2.
Yes.
About
Yeah.
time.
Hey, listen, if they couldn't tell by that one, something's wrong.
Yeah. I didn't tell you guys I changed the intro. I wanted to get your I really should have had you on screen. But you know.
I loved it. I loved
Yeah.
it. I think that should be our permanent pictures.
I was just playing.
See, this is when you
playing with
start to
that,
shoot behind the scenes, Dave, and you just have your phone pointed at us behind the scenes.
True.
Should have done that. Yeah. You know, there's a way I can set up an extra camera on here, but I don't know how to do it. So, but yeah, I guess it would help if I was just on the phone like right before we started. And okay. All right. Everyone, we are doing, I already mentioned earlier, Terminator 2. We've been meaning to do this movie now for 3 years. I think we did Terminator 1. Chad wanted to do it in the first year, and then he's like, let's do Terminator 2 right away. It's the best of them. And then it just kind of got pushed back. And, you know, other stuff came about, and it's like, hey, we're going to do it. So we are doing it. Here is a little brief synopsis of the movie. It has been about 10 years since the Terminator failed to kill Sarah Connor and her unborn son, John. Now, the master computer Skynet has sent back another Terminator, this one being more advanced than the last one. John Connor, who is now about 10 years old, is the target. The future John, in the future, he captures, reprograms, and sends back a replica of the Terminator that tried to kill his mother. It is Terminator versus Terminator.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and go. There's some really cool information on this. So let's go ahead and go behind the scenes. Now, Chad, I know you picked this movie. Oh, hold on. Here, let's do that. There we go. You're the one that picked this movie. So what? It was actually what? 1991 is when it came out.
91 it came out.
Yeah. Okay. So think about it this way: the T1000 effects. Right. Let me pull them up here. The different effects for the T1000. Industrial Light and Magic (ILM) used revolutionary CGI for a lot of it. For the liquid metal, who was the T1000, played by Robert Patrick. It was also one of the first films to use a computer-generated imagery, CGI, so extensively and convincingly. The morphing effect to show the T1000 changing shape was inspired by a similar technique that they used in The Abyss, which was also directed by Cameron. To research the look, Stan Winston, he was the special effects guy, and his crew spent weeks shooting pellets into the mud, studying the patterns made by the impact, then duplicating them in sculpted form and producing appliances. Also, I got to throw this out there, especially because we're talking about the T1000 and all this. What you see here, Terminator 2 was the original script for Terminator. It just wasn't, he wasn't able to do it at the time. James Cameron said, I'm not going to do this way because it's not ready. And it, I mean, he had it all in it was already, okay, there's going to be a liquid Terminator and a regular Terminator, and they're going to fight. And what Terminator 2 was the original script for the first one. And he just said, we are not ready to do this at this time, so we need to change up some things for the original. Okay, and of course you can see there was a lot of rubber latex material backed with soft foam rubber or polyfoam, which and then they painted it and sprayed it and all that to achieve that chrome look. Like the one there of him splitting in half, that's actually is not CGI. That actually is a rubber, a piece of foam that they basically they cut it. They just, and then he just took it and ripped it, and then they said, leave it like that, paint it, and call it good. So, Arnold Schwarzenegger's massive salary.
Oh, of course.
He was paid $15 million for this movie.
Wow. In 1991. That's a lot.
1991. He was paid $15 million. He
Well,
had only about 700 words in the entire movie.
He didn't need to.
Okay, John, Mr. Mathematician, I'll go ahead and do the math for you because I know you're a math teacher. All right, that averages out to about $21,000 per word.
Woo! Yeah, I was off 2 zeros.
You
Wow.
know? Linda Hamilton. You can see on the left. Those of you out there that are audio, sorry, you need to watch the YouTube. It's just you'll get the full effect. Anyway, you can see on the left that was Linda Hamilton in the original Terminator, and you can see what she became in Terminator 2. She trained for months with an ex-Israel commando to prepare her role as Sarah Connor. She adopted a physically intense routine and hardened persona, significantly different from her portrayal in the first film. She actually acted that way away from the cameras too, so she wouldn't fall back into bad habits. You guys are going to love this one too. Robert Patrick's running technique. Okay. To appear superhuman, Robert Patrick trained to run without showing signs of exhaustion or heavy breathing, even at high speeds. He even practiced firing weapons without blinking to seem more robotic. I actually watched a video clip, a behind-the-scenes stuff, an interview with Robert, and he says he doesn't ever want to reprise the role because he thought it was perfection the first time around, and he's like, I don't want to change it. 2, he's not as physically fit as he was when he did this first movie. The very first time, this actually scene right here where he's chasing the motorcycle, the very first time he caught the motorcycle, he is that fast running. He literally,
terrifying.
They were telling him, please slow down. Don't let him run so fast. And he's like, no, I can't do it. You're just going to have to speed up the bike or do something, because he was catching the bike. I mean, and this was all him. This was not a stunt person. This was him running. So I thought that was pretty cool. The steel mill finale, where they filmed the ending. This actually was an abandoned steel mill foundry in Fontana, California. The heat, real flames, and harsh environment made it grueling for the cast, especially in full costume or makeup. So they reactivated this factory too, and some of that stuff real, So just because of how hot it was and all that, and okay, we were talking about this offline. We're not sure if everyone saw the extended version or not. I don't know what's on Paramount Plus because that's not the one I have. I watched my own. The extended version actually has right before they go out to the desert. So they're driving down the road, then they pull into a garage, and then they actually have Arnold open up his thing and say, "Hey, you need to turn me into a learning mode so I can learn rather than just be a read only." And so there was a whole aspect of Sarah wanting to smash the chip, and her son saying, no, we need to, I sent him back here for a reason. If I'm the leader that you keep saying I'm going to be, you need to listen to me, things like that. So I don't know. Did you guys see that scene in the movies y'all saw, or?
I did not.
Okay. So that is the extended version. So it's only like 2-3 minutes longer, but it does kind of tie in some of the other stuff. Also, something later on, but we'll get into that
Didn't I remember watching some of this, either it was this one or they swapped hands, like his hands got damaged and he took the one that he left behind and put it on. But I could be
No.
watching something else. So
I think that was something else because it wasn't in my version either. All right. This next slide, picture you're going to see, it's going to point out exactly what I'm talking about. So, in scenes required duplicates, real twins were used instead of CGI. Linda Hamilton's twin sister Leslie played the mirror image of Sarah. You can see it's got little arrows pointing to each one. See, there's Linda's sister actually working on Arnold's hair, but Linda and Eddie are actually working on the Arnold puppet head. So I just saw this picture online and I was like, oh, dude, I gotta have it. This is definitely that was just really cool info. A lot of that. So let's go ahead and go to some questions. All right, Chad, take it away.
all right, let's see here. So John, looking at all right, so how does this film reflect the Cold War era? Fears and anxieties above nuclear war and technology.
Well, I'll jump right in if you want to. The Cold War was big then. I had actually well, let me rephrase that. It was coming to an end at the late 80s. But there was still, everything was always about nuclear deterrence, nuclear this, hey, if the Russians fire, we're going to fire, and it was a big deal. And of course, in the movie, they said basically that's how Skynet wiped out everybody is, they would, just like I said, they would launch at Russia, Russia would retaliate, and then everyone would get wiped out, basically. Kind of reminds us back when we did war games,
Yeah.
Who's the winner? No one. Well, who's the winner in this scenario? Skynet. Because of, being a computer, they don't care if there's humans around or anything's living or what have you. So yeah, everyone, including, I remember growing up, in the 80s, when they were like, okay, we're going to do a nuclear drill, and where we had to basically get underneath desks and hide and do all this other stuff, So exactly like Shane's doing, hands over the head, hiding, obviously it really wouldn't do very much good in a nuclear war. If a nuclear event happened,
nobody wanted to acknowledge that back then, though.
they didn't want to acknowledge it, but because they wanted you to feel safe. So, but this movie just really, especially for me, it really stirred up a lot of like, okay, I see where they're going with this, So, how about somebody else?
Yeah, I think the biggest word in all of that is fear, and I think that is what this movie really played on, especially when you're talking about nuclear war. When you're talking about how even the scene where Sarah Connor was at the fence and she was seeing herself and everything, and you get the sense of the fear that she was living in, but also just what she knew was coming. There's a book out, and I'm actually going to rep another podcast. It's called the Sean Ryan Show podcast. If you've never listened to it, it's amazing. But anyway, one lady came on, and her name is Annie Jacobson, and she wrote a book called Nuclear War: A Scenario. And what it does is it basically takes you through what would happen if there was a launch of nuclear missiles, and what would happen as far as the timing and response and the aftermath, nuclear winter, all this kind of stuff. I haven't read the book, but I really want to. But it's some scary stuff, and I think that is the biggest thing that this movie kind of played into, is just the fear factor of what nuclear war could be. And as far as the technology, one of the things that we are always big on is that we like control. Humans like to be in control. We like to know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, where it's going to happen. And when technology is running things, the issue is that we are not in control. So this really played on the fears of something possibly being able to wipe us out without us even knowing it.
Yeah, and I mean, without being a broken record here, I definitely also think it played on this idea of humans will kind of always naturally destroy each other. Because I don't like the idea in real life, but the idea that Skynet really didn't necessarily do anything on its own per se, but triggered us doing something in reaction to something it did. I think that part's massive, and I think that plays on a lot of modern fear as well, not even just the Cold Era fear. Obviously, retaliation was huge then, and just that idea of like, well, mutually assured destruction. We're all going down if we're going down. But now, even now with just AI, I think that idea that AI would take us out just by pitting us against each other, I think that's an interesting concept as a whole, and I think it's one that the film played on as well. And I don't necessarily think it's even specific to that era. It's rolling back around as things tend to.
Yeah, I agree with all.
Yeah. I was gonna say, how about you, Chad?
I agree with that because the thing is yeah, the Cold War era, there everybody was fear of nuclear war. That one of the superpowers between us and Russia is going to cause the fallout. But the thing is also the fear plays so much into this. Even she was like the scene that Shane was saying, she's at the playground. She was dreaming. Like she knows what's coming, and she saw like that scene. I don't know if you remember it. The playground you saw was actually the beginning of the movie. It was rode past it.
Right. It was part of the monologue when she was talking at the beginning.
So thing is the fear of this, fear of but you gotta think, did we find because we watched the first one, where did the Terminators come from? How did they get there? How did we begin Skynet? So it's all from if they didn't send the first one back, this wouldn't have happened. It was trickle fall. So, hold up. All right. So, I get my phone went to sleep here. So, if you could reprogram any movie villain like the T-800, who would it be and why?
I'll go.
All right.
I would program a predator. I think you have the ultimate hunter. You have somebody who is going to be able to stalk and hunt and do whatever they need to. So that would be my choice. I would reprogram a predator.
Okay. John.
I thought on this one, and I was trying to figure out which particular Marvel villain I would go for. And at least in the introduced universe, is what I'll stick with. And by introduced, I mean the cinematic universe, not the actual comics, because there's plenty in the comics that could be super fun to deal with. But I think Thanos with Infinity Stones would be real fun to kind of manipulate the other way around and kind of have him be a universal protector as opposed to the universal decimator. I think that would be pretty fun to play around with as a reprogramming.
I'm trying to find there it is. I've got two actually. The first one,
leader of the Decepticons.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
I agree. That'd be great.
That would be super, super fun.
That would.
And then of course,
You don't know the power of the dark side.
Dave, you stole mine.
I would like to change my answer.
Yeah, but he was already flip flop anyway, you know.
Yeah. All right, see here.
well,
Okay,
this is true. This is true. He did flip flop a little bit, but
Yeah.
to have him, when you just say villain, I saw a meme. Did I send it to you guys? I don't remember. There was one of them that says, it had a picture of the Joker and it said, hey, everybody loves the villain more than they love the character.
Yep.
And they just and I'm the best at it. And then Darth Vader's underneath him going, excuse me, you don't know the power of the dark side,
Right.
So
Yeah, I was thinking about Darth Vader too. I was like, reprogram. And then also I was thinking about the Predator. But to go something way different, I'll go with Dark Sidious. Because I mean, he wasn't on the good side. He was always the Sith. He was always the manipulator. Think about that. If he's always want to promote his way and protect, that would have been a one great force.
True.
Do it. Yeah. Do it. But I do. I mean, I can see the have the Predator reprogram because he can be invisible and cloaking the.
Yep.
So.
Oh, you were saying a Predator. Keep talking. I had a picture. Oh, what did I do with it?
Yeah. Or yeah. What is another good one? It would be
see, can I do it? Here we go.
Yes, I've seen that one. Yes. Yes.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm in a mood today.
So
but yeah, go with another question, Chad.
So how does this movie explore the idea of fate versus free will?
See, I think this is probably the most interesting aspect of it, especially in regards to how do past actions change future actions? Because realistically, I don't think we get a strong resolution on how all of this going back truly changes the future at all. I know towards the end it's kind of like, well, now we it's an unknown future. We don't really, at least in this film, get a true set like, well, is it an unknown future? Do they still somehow end up there? And I think that's really where that idea of fate versus free will comes in, because like they've made the choice to go back in time, but they also don't know if that's truly going to change anything or if they're still destined to get there somehow. And you just get real timey-wimey on that one, which I'll talk about later too for another particular segment. But just that idea of like, how much are we really in control? I think that's a central theme to the whole series, and especially in this film alone. So,
and I think I would like to piggyback on it. To me, when Chad sent this question, I was thinking of John Connor the whole time. I'm like, one, he's supposed to be a 10-year-old in this movie. I'm sorry, he doesn't look like a 10-year-old. But I mean, even some of the lines that he did, hey, if I'm supposed to be this big leader, why aren't you listening to me? Things like that where I think his mother was putting undue pressure on him the whole time. Oh, you're going to have to live up to this. You're going to have to do this. You're going to send this person back in time. I mean, my mind would be blown away saying, wait a minute, we're going to have time travel. I mean, all this other stuff. Because remember, he hasn't seen any of this. He just has heard it from his mother, and then she ends up in a psycho ward. So, I think a lot of his from his aspect is, he probably doesn't feel like he has free will, but he does. The choices he makes, especially like when he talks to Arnold the first time and says, you can't kill anybody, period. And I think that kind of changed everything, because in the future, I'm sure that they were like, okay, whatever, the mission needs to get done. Let's do whatever we have to do to get the mission done, but in this aspect, John is like, no, that doesn't need to happen. And we won't even talk about later on movies, because I kind of forgotten about all those. This one that should have ended here.
I agree.
But enough of that.
Yeah.
I mean, Shane, how about you?
So to piggyback on Dave's piggyback, I think the key word when you're talking about fate versus free will is the word hope. And I think that when you're talking about fate is preset. Fate is predetermined. This is going to happen no matter what. Free will is the opposite. Free will is to where you can actually do something to change it. And I think that is one of the things that humans always hope for, is that what we do is going to matter. what we do is going to make a difference. I think this movie really, really hints on that. It's like you could just let things happen. You could just let the judgment day come and the apocalypse come and everything, or you can have hope and you can do something. Well, then even at the end, when she talked about the unknown future, the word she said there was something like, "But I'm coming into this with a sense of hope." And I think that is the big thing that this movie kind of explores, even with all the action and the fear, is that there is hope.
Yeah.
Hope in a future, hope in the possibility that good people can make a difference.
Yeah, I see that with at the end, it was more free will because, hey, you come sending trying to prevent something that happened that was fated, or like it was already preset to happen. But now I'm going to send something back to give the free will back to us, back to the characters, and see if maybe we can stop this.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with all that. It's free. The free will was probably the biggest focal point of this towards the end of this movie, was trying to prevent something happening. So they were acting on their free will.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see here. I want to go to, let's do another fun one. So this movie has so many good sayings or quotes that everybody uses. So what are some famous quotes from the movie that y'all like?
I swear I will not kill anyone.
I mean, obviously, hasta la vista. I use that one almost daily.
I've got the drops, so I mean,
Hasta la vista, baby.
Maybe.
That one, and I think one of my favorites was I don't have a drop for it, but no problem, no problem.
No problem. No.
I mean, there was a lot more. I mean, I just
stay here. I'll be back.
Pretty much, I'll be back or hasta la vista. Those are the two big ones that you always think about.
How about what she carved into the table? No fate, no fate, but what we make.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got to think with trying to think when this happened is.
See, there was one that was real funny to me that I forgot that I really enjoyed.
I need a vacation.
I need a vacation. Yeah. But the one that him and John was working on the Bronco. Yeah. And he was telling them all, hey, my mom dated boyfriends and this, and one of them taught him how to work on the car, do this. He's like, and he stops like, why were you crying? Like, he was actively like, tell me how does it feel when you cry? Mm-hmm. Like you saw, I mean, right there, the connection between.
Mm-hmm.
So. Let's see what else. So what does this movie say about AI or artificial intelligence in technology in this movie? You know that every time we've done something with AI, it's always been me.
It's always been about
Skynet.
It's about Skynet. Yeah, I mean, it's heck. Let me go ahead and throw this picture up here. I know I was just messing around earlier with an AI. Literally, I was I had there was 4 pictures of us, and I just said, "Hey, turn us into T800s." So let's see if it'll pop up here. It's thinking. There was an issue with your file. Please try again in a little while. Oh, crud. All right, let me try. You guys, somebody else talk while I keep trying to put this up here.
What about you, John?
I'm all up in this AI universe, both in use of and otherwise.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, I just typed it. I just went into a picture. I uploaded our 4 pictures and said, "Hey, turn us into T800s." And that's what it popped out. So it's pretty amazing what you can do with AI. I mean, this is you know,
especially
I
over
get
5
where the
years.
story was,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I just, I'm not sure. Well, no, we won't go there. Otherwise, I was going to be into plot holes, into fixing right there, and I'm like, no, I'm not ready for that yet. John, you were saying something. I think I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. I'm all up in the AI world and trying to keep track of it. It's come a long way in 5 years, and I think even though we all always come back to Skynet, I mean, ultimately we come back to AI is going to do something crazy at some point, regardless of what that is. And I definitely think we're definitely on the precipice of the direction AI heads, both as a culture and with current political powers. I think both sides of that kind of control where AI is headed. And I also think there's probably a lot of work. This is crazy conspiracy me, and I don't have a lot of these, but the ones I do have are real crazy. But there's probably a lot going on behind the scenes to make us more open to AI in general, just because, oh, look at these fun social media trends. Yeah, you want to use it because you want to be a part of that trend. But at the same time, all of a sudden, even 5 years ago, people were a lot more hesitant to do something with that. And now we're a lot quicker to jump on a trend. And I just think there's a culture shift happening where it's a lot more easily available. It's a lot more acceptable to use. And I think, again, that's where we kind of have to start to garner and understand where it can head and how we need to control it before it heads in bad directions, which, I mean, ultimately we know it will behind the scenes no matter what somewhere. Because where there's a good for something, there's a bad in this world for it. So somebody's going to use it for bad. And so I think this movie speaks definitely towards the worst side of that and where AI becomes sentient. But at the same time, in the real world, I can see where maybe not where it becomes sentient, but where it gets used for evil things still. So I think the movie does a good job at kind of future projecting some of that, whereas maybe taking it to an extreme that may or may not happen.
Yeah, I think to piggyback on what John was saying, I think that the movie does do a great job of really kind of giving us both aspects, to where you know that AI, especially today in 2025, is huge. Is being used for a lot of things. I can tell you that in my role as a school administrator, I use it constantly, because there are a lot of menial tasks that I can use that it can spit out for me very quickly, while I'm able to really focus on some other things. Um, but I can also say that this movie, although it is done in more of a sci-fi manner, more of a Hollywood manner, it does kind of give you some warnings there. It does kind of let you see that, okay, even good things can be taken too far. Even good things, if you have y- y- giving too much power to machines, is something that can backfire, especially when you're talking about self-learning. When you're talking about that really pushes things to the next level. So I think that it really gives us some things to be leery of. And I know that we joke about I'm done with AI. Once they call it Skynet, I'm done with it. But I think that there are some things in it, especially, like I said, the self-learning piece. Especially, those are things for us to be very wary of. And also, even today, some things, even with just basic AI, that we need to be cautious of.
Well, I think let's look at the movies that we've already watched. War games, where the military actively said, we don't need people there monitoring this, the computer can do it. So that's obviously humans' fault. Let's look at Tron. What happened? You had a master control program who now ended up taking over a military. Even I mean, he said it right there in Dillinger's office. He says, I am so much more than what I started as, and then now we've got Skynet. So where basically they start, it may start small. It may just start as, hey, I've got this and we're doing this, but human beings allowed it to happen because we're lazy.
Yeah.
We want to find an easier way to do things.
Yeah. That's fair. Fair point.
So, Chad, do you
Yeah.
have anything else to add to that?
Well, yeah, I agree with all that. With AI, there's good, there's bad. And you remember, I think, one of the Batman Begins, when Batman said, you're only gonna be the hero long enough to see yourself to become a villain. Same thing. You can use AI long enough till it really learns that humans is a threat to us, threat to the world. Let's save the world. Let's get rid of them.
Mm-hmm. This is true. That was all the questions, wasn't it?
Yeah, basically all the questions.
Yeah. Well, everyone out there in internet land, I messed up. I did not when we were doing behind the scenes. Usually I have two parts of it. I always do, and I just like brain farted and just forgot to do them. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it right now. Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes gave this a 91.
Wow.
Popcorn meter gave it a 95. Okay, that's so much farther away than some of the previous ones that we've done where they were in the 20s. You know,
For sure.
budget was $100 million. Did it make money?
Full send. I'm saying yes. I got to keep my streak. I'm saying 3 times as much.
Okay, 3 times as much.
It
from
made
John.
money.
Shane,
This is 1991, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it made 500 million. I'm being oddly specific.
I guess so.
I think that,
Oh.
I mean, it made money. There's no telling it made money here.
All right. Well, there's a caveat. Always a caveat. All right. Initially, it made 204 million domestically in the United States and Canada, and it made 218,000 international.
Dang it. Only
Did
twice
not
as
make
much.
a lot. It only made 205 million.
Oh wow.
That's the original one from 1991. However, it has been released 3 other times since then, 2003, 17, and 2020. If you include the original gross, all right, which was the 205 million, it had 311 million international. So a total of $517 million. So yes.
Yeah, not as big of an international
did make
market,
over
apparently,
500 million.
the first time.
But not the first time. It was, it took several years,
Hey, I'll
Yeah.
take it. I was still right. I'll take it.
We all were right. Yes, we are. Okay, now let's go ahead and look at plot holes. All right, gentlemen. Oh, I'm on the wrong screen. I'm looking at Nerf. Why was I looking at Nerf? There it is. Boom. All right. Plot holes. We all love them. At least I do. I mean, this was I can already I don't know if any of you guys have already looked at the spreadsheet. I went ahead and pre-filled it in because I'm pretty sure I know what everyone is going to rate this as, but I could be wrong. So
No. I literally went in to do that, and I was like, yeah, actually, we're there.
So
Got a good feeling.
yeah. But did you guys see anything that you just like really?
I have a couple, but they're not like major.
I have one small one.
The new Terminator. Why was he so stuck on just that one officer? Like, he could shapeshift just in about anybody. So, like, why did he stick to the one? That was one of the major ones I noticed. And then the minor stuff of just the timey-wimey stuff. Just because I feel like the time travel gets acknowledged just to send them back. But, again, not acknowledging post, which I get, not the point of this movie. But even just some small changes after they do some things along the way would have been nice to see. Just like, oh no, you are affecting the timeline somehow. Like, we don't get to see if it's good or bad. I'm fine with, because that's just a fun mystery for later. But even in the course of the film, if there's anything that I would see as a plot hole, it's just like we don't see any changes after they do stuff in the now. And I know it goes on whatever time travel theory you go with, but even then, there'd still be some changes somehow. So I would have
Yeah.
liked to have seen some of that.
I didn't see
Hey.
much.
Oh, go ahead, Chad.
I didn't see much on any of that, but I mean, I'm good with John. I'm not gonna say nothing because this. I don't want to talk about the other Terminator movies out there. They should have stopped it at this. So
I agree with
Okay.
that.
Shane?
So one thing I thought that this movie did a really good job of is character development. I really think it made it to where you really did care about these characters very, very well. The only one that I wish they would have done a little bit more with was Dyson's character. I wish they would have done a little more. I wish they would have. One thing the movie does very well too is also with some of the flashbacks and even some of the monologues and everything. I wish it would have gone into a little bit more of what Dyson was going to do in the future. Like it talked about it, but it would have been cool, like to actually see like some of the development of Skynet as it was getting into its self-learning stage and things like that. Maybe not really a plot hole, but at the same point, I think it would have added to the movie if it would have gone into that and made you really, really think about like, wow, this character is doing some crazy stuff.
Yeah. I've got a couple. Okay. In the first movie, I got to go back to the first movie. Basically, Kyle tells Sarah that only human flesh can be transported back in time. So how did the T-1000 do that? He is not covered in flesh like the T-800 is. How was it? How were they able to get him to go back in time? Is what my question is. Yes, he can mimic it, but it's still not the same.
Well, I don't know if you. Okay, let's go into the other movies out there. There's one that
the other movies, no, they sucked. So
they suck. But I'm gonna just reference that they showed this where Kyle did go back, and in that same scene and area, that place where they went back in time to travel, it blew up. So, to me, it could. Okay. Well, this, like I said,
I'm just wondering why how did the 1000 get to do time travel if when they said in the first movie that the only reason that the T-800 got to go back is because he had a layer of skin, flesh and bone, not bone, but flesh on the outside of his body, of his exoskeleton, his skeleton.
They could have created.
So that's just my question: is how did this one? Since it's a liquid metal, how did it go back?
I can see that.
Another machine that actually took that being human out. Like, hey, you can send back anything.
So maybe, obviously they found a loophole. Okay. And then I'm only going to say this other one. The biggest one for me was, okay, the whole point of him coming back was to destroy the chip in the arm. And then, of course, he says, hey, I got to destroy the other chip that's up here. Didn't Arnold lose an arm in the machine? He got it ripped off. Why wasn't that arm? They went and got it. Hey, my arm was over there. Go get it. Or something. And then have that destroyed. I mean, that was the whole point of him going back, was to protect John and to make sure that Cyberdyne does not come about.
Yep.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think you could be thinking that the arm was already destroyed and mangled because it was run over, and it's not going to
alloys.
Work.
I mean,
I get it. It's just why not go get it? Let's be safe and sorry.
Yeah, exactly. All right. I've got a bunch more, but they're all minor stuff. Those were just like the two big ones that I thought of. All right, let's go ahead and rate this. Okay, we're running out of time. We're all rated a 5. Let's go. No. I mean, usually I tell whoever picked it to rate it first, but I'm just going to start. Hey, I rated it as 5. This was especially for 1991. The CGI was so good. It was, especially when you go back and look at the first Terminator, you could tell the ones that were a puppet and which ones were Arnold. And this one I had trouble. I mean, there was a couple of them, like when they were all shooting him up, when he was walking out there with the minigun, I could tell that was a puppet. But other than that, there was a lot of times where I'm just like, ooh, I don't know, So to me, I rated a 5. I enjoyed it. Again, I would watch it again. I have watched it many times, and it was just, it's up there with Empire Strikes Back and several of the these big movies, and I just loved it. Somebody else.
Yeah, with this, with being, I love the storyline. I love where you can still watch it today and still enjoy it and still not feel like it's oh, this is back in 91. This is not gonna be as great as in today's time. So yeah, I agree with this. I rate with a 5, and if I can go any higher, it would have been higher. So yeah, I will always watch this and watch the first one and this one and just stop at this 2 because you don't need to know what's going on. Okay, we done it and let that be it, because why even bother? This shouldn't went on. So
Okay, John.
I'm just gonna say y'all better be glad it's not April Fool's, because I would definitely try to pull actually I've been lying this whole time and it's a 1 and that, but you can't. It is a solid 5. I mean, just great mixed effects, which even now we don't see a whole lot of the mix. It's almost all CGI now. So I appreciate the art of mixed effects. I appreciate the action was phenomenal. And I think there was a good enough mix of action and story to move us along. Cinematography, great for an action film. Like I don't think there was anything crazy. Like I know the mirror shot and stuff like that is good, but nothing crazy cinematography wise. Like they're not setting up a masterclass on that, but that wasn't the point of the film. It's to move along a story and action, and I think they did that just fine. So yeah, overall, it's a solid 5 for me.
Shane?
Well, I agree. I think it is honestly one of my favorite movies. Great action, great storytelling. I think the actors did an amazing job with it, and you really do, like we talked about, you care about these characters. You are invested in these characters. I just think it was a wonderful job. I got to go with a 5 too. Solid 5.
All right. Straight across the board. We haven't had very many of those. We had a couple last year. I think we had like let me pull it up here real quick, just so I got it. Okay, we had the Terminator, the first one. And
Star Wars.
Nope.
No Star Wars on the...
Nope. John rated it a 4.5. I'd rated it a 4. But I retconned it to 5, so but he didn't.
John.
Let's see here. I'm just looking real quick. 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Oh yeah. iRobot. Another artificial intelligence. We all gave straight 5s on. And Star Trek 2, Wrath of Khan. So, I mean, these were big heady movies. I mean, the big names, big stuff up there.
Yeah.
The only thing that it didn't get really to talk about is the music. I was surprised Shane didn't bring it up.
Well, I've got some stuff about the music, but
but
I was trying to save some time too.
Yeah, go ahead before we improve this, because we don't need to fix anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the film composer was a guy named Brad Fidel. And he of course, one thing with James Cameron that I really, really like is James Cameron is one of these people who really he likes to have his hands in everything. And he really, really collaborated very well with his composer, with Brad. And one of the things that I love, there's a statement in here where he wanted the music to be machine-like, but also emotional. And I thought the composer did a great job with that. I thought he
Mm.
really used a lot of synth sounds, a lot of mechanical kind of sounds and everything. But it really you felt the emotional parts in there. So I thought he did a great job with it.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. This part, I'm not sure we're going to be able to do too much on. So let's do it real quick. Is there anything in this movie you would like to fix or improve on? I guess I'll just start. One of the things is, okay, fix John's age. No 10-year-old is going to be out there riding a motorcycle all over the place. Okay.
I don't know. There's a
you
few
know,
in my neighborhood that
make
think
him
they can.
12, or 13, just turning a teenager, because that especially with the language he used. I mean,
Yeah.
to me, a
10-year-olds aren't gonna
early
know it.
teen, it would go better with,
Mhm. Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen. I know we had mentioned earlier the Robert not just being Robert all the time. Like when he was going through the mall or something, it should have been his stepmother or something.
Mhm.
I think that would have been a cool effect. But I can't think of too much. I mean, these are all nitnoid minor stuff, because
Yeah.
the story was that good.
Yeah.
Somebody else.
I've got 3 minor ones. My first one is like I mentioned in the plot holes. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more about the Dyson character and what he was going to be in the future. Second thing I would have liked, give me more battles between the 2 Terminators. Give me more of that. I think that would have been good.
Yeah.
And finally, get rid of all the Terminator films after this one, and let this one be the last one, because it is the best. Let it be the
Well,
last.
I mean, the way she talked at the end made it seem like this was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'll send you guys a link. There is it wasn't put in any of the movies, even the extended version, but there is a director's cut alternate ending for
Ooh.
this.
Ooh.
I'll send it to you. Basically, where Sarah Connor is just sitting there on the bench watching her son and granddaughter play, and she's just kind of talking into a microphone, kind of recapping, what's happened since. And she's old, like a grandma. I mean, it is so cool. It really is. It's like, yes, that's how it should have ended. Forget all these other Terminator Salvation, and then when they changed people and
Yeah.
John Connor ended up being a Terminator or what? It got
No,
so
it was Reese.
or whoever. Yeah, I mean, it just all got confusing. It's like what? So
Yeah.
again, should have left it at 1 and 2 and be done with it.
Yep. A few minors. One was right there. Shay's keep it 1 and 2. Even if you had that ending, the alternate ending, they should have put it in there. That way, you at least saw, hey, nothing happened. Like if you fast forward to 2040, 2029, what it actually is, if you realize the dates, we're 4 years coming up to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, other than that, maybe more scenes with the fighting with the Terminators. I mean, I would love to see that, but the more I would love to see the scene where Sarah is talking to Arnold and John's not there, just trying to pick his like just more dialogue because you saw in this movie where she's looking at the Arnold and and John. He would never leave his side. He's going to be just like dead. It would not be never leave his side. So she was seeing the effects of the free will of this Terminator being there for him, but I like to see the actions between her and him just a little bit more.
For me, normally I would even just say updated graphics, but for this one, I wouldn't even go that far. I think the graphics are good enough to even like be manageable now. Yeah, they might be more like of a B-rated film now, but even that I can't really fault too much because they were phenomenal for the time, and they still pretty well stand up. And so I can't even say that really is an improvement. So for me, there's not really a whole lot else.
Okay. Sounds good.
Crypto Enterprise.
Please contact us. Tell us if you agree with our ratings or how you would fix or improve this movie, or if there's a movie that you would like us to review. The easiest way to do that is if you're watching us on YouTube is to comment below. For those of you that are audio-only listeners, you can reach us on either X or Facebook at TheseSciFiGuys. Or you could email us, TheseSciFiGuys@gmail.com.
Yes, everybody. We're coming to the end of the show to let you know what we're going to see next. Because I don't know about you guys, but it's going to be hard to top this movie.
Mhm.
I'm so glad I did not have to pick after this. Yeah, because a couple of the ones I picked this year have been kind of stinkers. So hopefully the next one won't be. Shane, what are we doing next?
So our next movie is going to be Age of Tomorrow. So this is a Tom Cruise film back from 2014.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow. What did I say?
Age of Tomorrow.
Sorry. I'll try that again. Edge of Tomorrow. This is a Tom Cruise movie, 2014. Not to spoil much, but I think it's kind of like an action version of Groundhog Day, so it might be kind of fun. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Sounds good. Yeah, I've seen this not that long ago when it was on like Netflix or one of those
It's
Paramount
on
or whatever.
Netflix.
It was one of them I watched. It wasn't too long ago, and I was just like, "Oh, it's Groundhog Day, but better,
But
sort of."
much better. Yeah.
Well, for science fiction wise, it's better. But
Right.
the original is it's really hard to beat the original. It really is.
Fair.
So anyway, just remember, everyone, no matter where you go, there you are. Until next time.
Crash and burn. These Sci-Fi Guys is an independent broadcast by The Sci-Fi Guy Productions. Super Epic is music courtesy of Alexander Nakarita and is found on creatorrecords.com. For more information on upcoming episodes, follow us on X at The Sci-Fi Guys. For our audio-only listeners, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Like, subscribe, or leave a comment to let us know how we're doing.